Almost since the beginning of time, man has been asking the question, what time is it? What time is it? What time is it?
See, I'm not Karen Paul. My name is Brian Dowdy, and I have been asked by Karen to fill in for her show once a month, the first Monday of the month, and today is the first Monday of the month. And have my guest here tonight, Ruben Santiago. Thank you for coming in, Ruben. And thank you for being my first guest on this show. Karen will be back next week. I'm not sure who her guest will be, and I'm not sure who my guest will be in March, but we'll start with Ruben tonight. I want to start from the beginning, Ruben.
Okay.
Where were you born? Tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Ooh.
I know nothing's off limits. I just want to know about your story so everybody can learn.
My name is Ruben Santiago. I was born in Minnesota, Minneapolis, but I came here when I was 5.
Came to New London?
Yeah, came to New London when I was 5 years old, and I've been here ever since. Went to school out here, went to Winthrop School, went to New London Junior High before it was Benny Dover. Went to New London High.
Okay, and you graduated from New London High? Or?
I didn't graduate.
Didn't graduate.
Went to 12th grade and,
Do you ever have thoughts about going back to finish up?
Yeah, plenty of times. Yeah, plenty of times.
As a Board of Ed member, we have an adult education program, and I'm a big supporter of if, for some reason, you don't make it through, go back. I mean, you're a little older.
Yeah.
So
never too late.
It's never too late. I mean,
she went when she was 60, and she got her diploma.
And we see, people at college who go through, and they're going to get their diplomas at whatever age it might be. So, I maybe go back someday.
There you go. Yeah,
my little plug for Ruben. So you came to New London, you went to Winthrop, you went to Benny Dover, but you said you didn't graduate. So why didn't you graduate? What happened?
Star football player and stuff. And when I got in 12th grade, I got into an incident that got me expelled from school. I went out to a club, got into a fight. I ended up first degree. I had assault. I was protecting myself. Actually, it was a self-defense case, but the laws in Connecticut, there is no self-defense cases in Connecticut. And being in my first time, it was very serious. I ended up stabbing someone to defend myself. I got jumped by 20 people, and so they ended up expelling me from school for that. And it wasn't even on high school premise. It was in Groton.
Sure.
Yeah, I was at a club and. They felt that I was a threat to the students.
Were you 18 at the time, or were you younger?
I was 18.
So I assume there were some charges to some degree.
Yeah.
Charged as an adult, and then you went through this court system, or?
Yeah, I went to A court, went to the white courthouse. I was looking at 10 years. Ended up taking 5.
Did you serve 5?
Yes.
All 5?
Yeah.
And then what happened after you came out? I know we talked a little bit about this before the show, about struggling coming out of incarceration.
I came home in 2000. It was very hard, job-wise, just getting back into society, getting a reconnection with my son. My son was 2 when I went in. Okay. And then, coming home, he's 7 years old, just getting back into his life, getting...
Reintroducing yourself, I mean, 2, I'm not sure, I don't remember my age. What was happening when I was 2?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was hard on you coming back out. And did your son come to visit you in your time?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
So there was at least some communication.
He came up. His mother brought him a lot, so which I didn't really want. I'd never want him to see me like that. Not an embarrassment. I just didn't want him to get used to seeing me.
You didn't want that to be the norm.
Yeah.
Was it hard on you think, or hard on him, or both?
Both.
Okay.
A discussion that we had when he was older, when he was 16, I asked him I asked him, did he ever hate me for me going to prison? And he was like, no, Dad. You made a mistake. You paid for your mistake. You came home and you were still always a father to me. So
I think
that meant a lot to me.
I was going to say, that must have made you feel proud.
Yeah.
As a parent, not being a disappointment to your kids.
Yeah.
I feel the same way with 3 kids.
Yeah.
I try not to be. I'm not sure I am or not. Maybe an embarrassment,
Yeah.
but that's a different story. So after your time away for 5 years, you came back out.
Yeah.
And then where do you go from there? It sounds like you tried to get back on your feet, but
Yeah.
were there supports there for you?
Yeah, I had a cousin. He worked at Foot Locker. He was the manager. He hired me there. I actually had like 4 jobs in the mall. So literally, I lived in the mall. Like I would go from really one job to the next job to the next. Like I lived in the mall for like a year. The next year, I got married, had a daughter. So no, I was just getting back into society. Just working my way back, and then about 2004, streets was pulling me back. I started to get in more trouble. I went back to jail in 2004. I went to the feds. I went to the federal penitentiary, and
So what drew you back? I guess
my brother had got shot. My brother had got shot like 5 times,
Wow.
and it was like a retaliation thing.
And was that here or?
It was in London.
Mm-hmm.
It was in New London, and it was like a retaliation thing. And a lot of the kids that we were beefing with basically told on us, like, oh, these guys are trying to kill us. There was like shootouts every other day, and my house ended up getting raided, and I got caught with 2 bulletproof vests and two guns, and they indicted me for the guns because I was a felon in possession of a firearm.
Sure.
So I ended up doing another 5 years. Yeah.
It's a long time, Ruben.
Yeah.
So you're, what, 25-ish around there when you went back in, give or take? So
Yeah. I'm 43 now. I've been home. Yeah, around there.
And so you were...
I came home in 2000. I was about 21, 22.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So
I was home for
was your son and your daughter, were they able to visit you during that time period?
Yeah. In my federal?
Yes.
No. The first year, yeah, and then after that, no, because I was in. They sent me to Ohio. Then I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
And then I ended up finishing my time in Pennsylvania.
And did anybody visit you, out of curiosity? I mean,
No.
so that's gotta hurt.
Yeah. It's
I don't want to make light of it, but
it's a mental struggle. My last visit I had in there was from my wife that I'm married to now, that I actually met when I was incarcerated.
And where did you meet her? You mentioned a couple different places.
Yeah, I met her in prison through my sister, just writing letters.
Okay.
In 2007, and it's 2021. We're still married, happy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you met her in prison, and
Yes.
when you got out, was she there for you?
Yes.
She
Yes. Helped me. She's definitely a big backbone of mine.
Okay.
Because I came home, same thing. I was making like $8.50. I was working for Restaurant Depot, and it was hard. My boss was really hard on me because he knew I had a record.
Yeah.
So he used that against me. Like if I tried to call out, you call out, I'm gonna call your PO, stuff like that. So it was a lot of time I just had my head down. She was making more money than me, so I didn't feel the man in my house.
Ruben, that's okay.
Yeah.
I've been a stay-at-home father for 20 years.
Yeah. Well, it was just as
but I get it.
Yeah, just as men, you want to be the man in your house.
Yep.
So she really strengthened me in ways that I didn't know that I had, especially toward my organization that I have now, KOP. She's like, babe, you got a story these young men need to hear. You're like a light to them. You're a light at the end of the tunnel to them. And I just like, nobody's gonna listen to me. Nobody's, they don't care. And she really pushed me, and she helped me get my LLC, and I took off from there.
Yeah, Ruben, you said something interesting. I think sometimes we all think our story is not very interesting.
Yeah.
But our story is interesting to other people, maybe not us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons I asked you to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Not such because I didn't know you before.
Yeah.
I read your story-ish through pictures on Facebook.
Yes.
And some videos and different things. So when you went into prison twice,
Yeah.
what life lessons? Okay, we haven't gotten to the third one
we
yet.
didn't get to the third one
Okay,
yet.
well, all right, let's get to the third one. What happened?
Okay.
Let's happen next, and then we'll go back for a minute.
My third one, I went back for a violation of probation.
Okay.
Some petty stuff. But this time when I went back, my son was sick of cancer. He had a brain tumor out of the blue, never was sick. Went to his prom. Literally died within a month. So.
And you were in prison when he passed away?
Literally, I was there at the hospital every day. And the day that my son's mother told me to come because he was having complications, I got pulled over. On the way to the hospital, I got pulled over by the Wesley Police Department, and they locked me up for the weekend, and he died over the weekend.
So how hard was that?
Very. That was.
Is that your low point?
Yeah, that was basically the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. It broke me. Sure. I was just like, out of my son's whole life, when he really needed me, I wasn't there, and I sat in the cell.
They told you at the cell?
No, it's weird. I'm in the cell. I get locked up on a Friday. They was like, you can't get out till Monday because there's no judges. Rhode Island runs a different court system. Okay. They wouldn't let me bond out. They was like, no, you got to sit. There's no judge around. You got to go get arraigned Monday. So I'm begging with these people, like, my son's dying. Da, da, da.
Yeah, you're giving them your story. And everything.
They're not listening. They're like, oh, we heard all we heard it all before. We heard every story. I'm like, no. I was like in tears. So anyway, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Monday morning, we eat breakfast about 6 in the morning.
Yeah. I
went to a lieutenant, and I begged him. I was literally crying, like to the point I couldn't even speak. And I was like, sir, listen, I just want to call the hospital and check on my son. I haven't used the phone since Friday. Nobody knows where I am. I need to talk to someone. So he was like, all right, what's your name? I'll call you in an hour. So he calls. I get back to my cell. They call me. The CO he's taking me, but we walked past the lieutenant's office. I'm like, he's going to let me use the phone. He's like, no, you're not going there. And they took me to the chapel. So I get there. The chapel's there. She gives me a hug. She's consoling me. And I'm just like, no, what's going on? Then the door opens. It's my wife. So this is like 7, 8 in the morning. So, I'm happy to see her. It's Friday. It's Monday.
Yeah.
I've been locked up since Friday.
So I'd be happy to see someone I know.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, babe. I'm giving her a hug. And just the look in her face.
You just knew.
I could tell she was crying all night. She had my T-shirt on. Hair was very disarranged, and she just looked at me. I just felt it. Yeah. I'm just like, all right, how was Ruben? I'm just happy, because she was going to the hospital, also to see him. So how's my son? And she was just like, she was just staring at me, like she couldn't find the words to tell me.
She couldn't say it.
Yeah. So
but, it doesn't sound like there had to be a communication.
Yeah. So how was he? And she was just like, babe, he fought. And I'm like, he fought? What do you mean he fought? And she's like, babe, he fought as hard as he could. So I'm like, what do you mean? Where's my son? And now I'm getting antsy.
Agitated and everything at the time.
So she's like, baby's gone. And man, it's just like a brick, like a bulldozer, just leveled me. And that was just like my turning point. And I was just like, I just vowed never to go back to the prison.
And have you? You said 3, so this is...
No.
That was it?
I've been home since 2012.
2012, okay.
Without even a traffic ticket.
So I want to go back just a couple of things. So you went in 3 times?
Yes.
And
so altogether I did 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years. So was that a third of your life, give or take?
Yeah, I'm 43.
Okay. So what is... so if there's a person who's younger or older listening, what can they learn from your mistakes? What to do and not to do, and
well, just never be I was never a follower, but just never be a follower. Never do what everybody else is doing. I never want to use the excuse I was a product of my environment. My foster mother, I've been in 15 foster homes. My foster mother did everything she could to raise me. She raised me in church. She gave me all the loving I needed, but we didn't have a father in our home. So, I looked, just coming from the streets, early crack era. Yeah. I grew up in Crystal Avenue. So this is what I seen every day going to school. I just seen the drug dealers. When I came up, I didn't never wanted to be a football player, baseball player. I wanted to be a drug dealer.
Well, that's what you saw.
This is what I've seen. Literally coming from school, coming back from school, going outside to play. You know, I seen the gold chains, I seen the cars, I seen the money. You know, the drug dealers, you know, buying the whole ice cream truck for us. Like, oh, you know, they let them get anything they want. You know, a lot of my relatives were drug dealers.
Right.
Then when I got older and I started selling drugs, you know, both of my parents were drug addicts. And I started selling drugs to them for them to love me. Well, really my father, because my father wasn't really in my life. So when I was selling drugs to him, it seemed like I was the best son in the world, you know.
So you were literally buying love from your father, in a sense.
Yeah.
Maybe in a real way. I mean,
it's a very strange, sadistic way, but that was how I grew up. You know, that was what I was going through at that time.
Sure.
You know, I just wanted him to be in my life, and crack at the time was, you know, that was, you know,
it was gold.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah. So, you know, I was the best son when I had it, and so, you know, I went through that whole thing, and you know, I just, like I said, I was never a follower. I was just a product of my environment, and just it's just not worth it. All the stuff I went through, the treatment in jail, you know, I've been beaten by guards. I've been I had razor blades put in my sandwiches. You know, being disobedient, you know, just not want to follow the rules and being, you know, just militant. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. You know, I've been in riots. It's not fun. You know what I mean? I've been in a couple fights. I've been stabbed before. I've been cut. You know, I've seen about 5 murders in jail, and it's just not the life, man. You know, forget TV. You know,
sure.
I just want to tell this, and this is what I teach young kids. And during my events, my KOP. You know, I mentor kids, and I tell them, you know, I showed them, you know, the pictures of faces being sliced open and stuff like that, dead bodies in the yard. Like, y'all don't want to live this life.
Right.
You know, you don't want to live this life, you know, taking a shower with your sneakers on. You know, when that door pops every morning, you don't know if you're going to come back, you know, to your cell at night, because anything can happen at any moment. So, you know, I just don't never want them to, never, ever want any kid or female to go through that.
So one of the things I think I had seen on your Facebook page, you did have a picture of a couple friends.
Yes.
Who were in prison. I don't know which one.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
you got a few of them.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you, I don't know how to put it, maybe you found some friends.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have a relationship besides your wife.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't serving with you.
Yeah.
But maybe some
other
positives that.
I met some guys in jail that were from, because when we was in Pennsylvania, there's groups. The end of your inmate number is 014. So that means you're from Connecticut. So if you're from Connecticut, all Connecticut people stick together. New York people stick together. Rhode Island, Jersey, DC. So anyway, I had got a relationship with these 3 guys. You know, every day we would talk of what we wanted to do when we got out of jail.
Sure.
You know, we knew the odds were against us, but just to tell our stories now, you know, like I run my own organization. My other friend, he's a personal fitness trainer. He's been doing that for like 4 years, makes really good money. You know, bought a house off of it. My other friend from New Haven named Pace, he sells foreign cars. You know, he sells Maseratis and
he's doing okay.
And Lamborghinis. Yeah, a brother. He bought a big house out there. So, you know, I love them stories, you know, because we didn't let our past, you know, redefine our future. You know, we kept pushing along. We didn't take no for an answer, and we did what we wanted to do, knowing that we had criminal records, you know. And this is what I always want to tell people that get out of prison. Listen, don't let nothing stop you because you have inmate number behind you. Keep pushing. It's going to be a lot of no's, but it's going to be a lot of doors slammed in your face, but one day somebody's going to open a door for you.
So with you and those other 2 guys, you said you planned what you wanted to do in the future.
Yes.
Was that what they had planned and you had planned?
Yeah.
That's what you wanted to do. Get out and you wanted to sell Maseratis.
Yeah.
Not you, but
yeah. Well, my friend Pace, he's from New Haven.
That sounds like a great goal to me.
He loved cars. He always used to have these car magazines in jail. And he's like, oh, but he wanted to buy the cars. He's like, when I get, I'm going to buy this car and buy that car. Now he's selling them. He drives them every day. He delivers them. And and he gets to bring anyone home. So he's living a good life. He's about to get married. My friend Alexander, he's doing this. He was always working out all the time, and
like you and I, Ruben. Yeah. We're always working out.
He got 4 certifications in prison to be a personal fitness trainer. And awesome. And a nutritionist.
And in shape.
Yes, yes, yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities in prison, especially federal. It's how you do your time. Either you're gonna sit in there and just wait till you go home. They have so many programs in there, and we were on top of every program. I almost got my GED, but
you're gonna get it. I got confidence.
I end up leaving because in the federal prison. You're not sleeping all day.
Sure.
You have to wake up every morning at 7. You got 2 options. Either you're going to go to school or you're going to work until 4 o'clock. That's every day. You're not laying on your butt all day. They make you do things. So they go into your record. If you don't have your high school diploma, you have to go to school. And then after you go to school, they'll give you a trade. All right, what do you like to do? Do you want to be a carpenter? They pay for your college. You get a regular college diploma. It doesn't say from the prison of such and such.
Right.
It's a regular college diploma and a high school diploma that you get when you graduate.
And I asked you what maybe some positives, and I think that for some people, you get a sort of a new start, new lease on life to a degree. One thing you had mentioned with your parents or foster parents, bringing you up and bringing you to church. And so it sounds like religion's a big aspect of your life. I don't know about now, how and I see the cross, so the answer is yes. But how important is religious in your life growing up in prison and maybe now?
Very. God plays a very big part of my life. I feel He got me through a lot of situations. When I look back at my life, I feel prison saved me, because my first time I went, I had 3 of my closest friends get killed, and 4 of my best friends get shot. So these are people I'm with every day.
So you were removed from that environment.
So it could have been, it could have been me. So I feel that it was just like a look back, like an out of body experience. Like, look, Ruben, this is what it could have been. I'm giving you a wake up call to get your life.
Just gonna get Ruben to listen.
Yeah. So, like I said, when I came home in 2000, I really wanted to change my life around. I wanted to get married. My next kid I had, I wanted to be a family, and but life just has its own decisions. We don't make the decisions that we don't make decisions that we want.
Right.
Just life just has different roads, and
then after your son passed away, you said that was your wake up call. That was your change. So, what happened next?
I came home in 2012. I got married, and
this is the
my wife now.
Okay.
Yeah, Sotis. Yep. And I got married, and my wife was just pushing me. She's like, "Babe, it's time for a change. Like, this is it. You got one more chance." And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use it. And I promised God that, like, bro, you let me out. This time, I promise I'll change my life around. So she pushed me to get my LLC.
So for everybody, it's a limited liability company.
Yep.
It's just, I know at least when I'm in meetings, I'm not afraid to ask, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So for everybody, it's a company. But go ahead, Ruben. Sorry.
So I started that. I started my KOP.
And what does KOP stand for? So everybody knows.
Yeah. So KOP means keeping kids out of prison.
Okay.
So I just wanted to mentor. I wanted to give back to my community, because I've took so much from my community during the years of me growing up, selling drugs and just putting death in my community. So a lot of my...
Do you really feel that way, Ruben?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you felt you did harm to your community in a sense?
I really did.
Okay.
I really did. So I wanted to just give back. A lot of my... We call it OGs. A lot of my OGs, when I was coming up, people that are older than us, never told me what I was doing was wrong. They were the ones putting guns in my hand, drugs in my hand, teaching me
They were your mentors, in a sense, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I wanted to redirect that energy and be like, I'm the OG now. So I tell the younger kids, no, listen, it's cool to be a father. It's cool to go to work. You know, it's cool to work at McDonald's. It's not cool to die, and it's not cool to go to jail.
Yeah.
It's not cool to kill people. So this is the energy that I'm putting back in my community. And, you know, now that I'm feeding people, which is another just amazing.
We'll get to that part. Don't worry, we're getting there.
Okay.
A couple years at a time.
Yeah.
We can't jump ahead.
So I started the KOP. I started doing events.
Are you doing events just locally, or is it?
No, everywhere. Well, before the pandemic, I was doing them in Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven.
And by events, do you mean like you'd go talk to kids, or
go talk to kids about my life experience, my experience of prison. You know, just giving the kids hope.
Do you do it alone, or do you have a group of people you do it with, or maybe a couple people every now and then?
It varies. Sometimes I'll bring a couple of guys that I was in prison with, and they're doing tremendous out here right now, and I'll bring it with us, and I'll let them tell their story to show the kids, like, listen, even if you go to jail, you can still be a human being. You can still be a resident.
You can still make a difference.
Yeah, still make a big difference.
But I mean, the goal is to not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we're talking to them before they even.
Right.
You know, we're giving them the horror stories. Like, listen, this is what we've been through. And like I said, I have a slideshow of, you know, what goes on in there. Like I said, the prison cuts. I got pictures of shanks, you know, dead bodies, stuff like that. Just, you know, I just showed them the reality of what goes on behind them, and I don't want them. So, you know, it's like not scared straight.
Yeah,
thing that I'm doing, but it's
similar.
It's similar.
Yeah.
It's similar, but it's just telling my story. And, you know what I mean? This is why I wanted to do it so bad, because, you know, a lot of people will go to college or they'll get, you know, degrees and stuff to do this, but if you never lived it, how can you tell me about it? You know what I mean? Like, you can't tell me about going to jail if you've never been there. You can't tell me what goes on behind the wall. You can't tell me about selling drugs if you never sold it. So this is why I go so hard with it, because I'm my living testimony. Everything is real. What I say, I'm very transparent. You know, I don't hold anything back. You know, I've been through this. This is what I did, but this is where I am now.
Right.
So.
For you, when you're doing the programs, is there an age group, or is it like, is there? You know, I think it's hard if a kid's really younger. You don't want to scar them in a different way.
Yeah.
That's
we try to do like 13 and up.
Okay.
But
so
now,
middle school age, is that give or take?
Yeah. But now that the kids are so advanced, I really like to get to the kids that's like in bad homes, parents are drug addicts, parents are drug dealers. Those are the kids that are really are my focal group. So it's trickling down to like 10-year-olds.
So how hard is it, you know, using your story?
Yes.
Where they're going to come and listen to you, but then they're going to go back to that environment. Like, how do you break
but
that?
it gives them hope. You know, I had a woman reach out to me. Her son is 10. The dad just came home. He's trying to get a relationship with him. It's hard. So, you know, I intervened. I'm like, you know what? Yeah. So let's help them click back together.
Yeah.
You know, and like, well, we'll wait for that too. The brothers brunch, but
one step at a time.
Yeah.
Ruben.
So it's just you know, it's just a circle of things that I'm doing. I'm trying to just make men better. You know, it's older men too. You know, I speak men up to 65 years old. Yeah. You know, just trying to get them back in homes, or, you know, because there's a lot of generational curses. Black community, a lot of things that we've seen and we've done, and we feel it's all right. You know, just me example, you know, just coming up in Crystal Avenue, seeing the drugs and the drug dealers, and that, you know, that's what I want to do when I get older. So we're just trying to break generational curses. A lot of, you know, when I ask my men in my events or my meetings, you know, how many men grew up with their fathers? A lot of people don't raise their hands. How many have? You know, very seldomly. But I had an answer one day, a couple weeks ago. A guy said, well, I was raised with my father. My father was in my life, my whole life. I grew up with him. He lived in my home. But my father never told me he loved me. My father never hugged me. My father never came to none of my basketball games. My father just worked and paid the bills. So did I have a father? And man, that answer blew my mind.
It's a hard one, because as a parent or man, or whoever is the breadwinner, I mean, you may be sacrificing everything you can for your child, but the child might not appreciate. I mean, what you might be sacrificing.
Yeah.
As a
So
parent
he was
to
like,
make it work.
I'd rather my father told me he loved me than go to work every day. I'd rather my father just give me a hug one day and just made me feel wanted. He's like, I just felt like he was just a stranger in the house. He just went to work, came home and ate and went to bed. There was no interaction.
Yeah.
And that's it just plays a big part as young men coming up in today, in any world.
I'm on the board of ed in New London, and one of the things I've always said, I'm supposed to say education's important. I'm supposed to say that.
Yeah.
But I firmly believe for our kids and our community, what they need is an ear.
Yes.
And even if, I'll call you little Ruben.
Yeah.
And old Brian. if you came up to me in the hallway or something and you just wanted to tell your story.
Yeah.
For 2 minutes, because you're not going to get that ear at home.
Yeah.
I think that can make the most difference in a kid's life.
I learned that.
Yeah,
I learned that.
And I don't think us adults take enough time.
Yes.
And Ruben, it doesn't hurt.
No, not at all.
I mean, you listen to a kid's story for 2 minutes and they just get out what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Because they're never going to get another outlet. It's so important, and I hope us adults, we learn from maybe past mistakes, and we do listen. And we don't have to talk. It's okay just to listen. I don't know if we can do hugs anymore.
No.
But
No, you're absolutely right. And I only learned that last year from a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
I did an event in Bridgeport, and the woman dad, her name is Cherie Baldwin, she was like, all right, we spoke to the kids. Now it's time for us to listen.
Yeah.
Let's let them talk and tell us what we're doing wrong. And man, it was a 9-year-old kid. I'll never forget this kid. He owned us. Like, he got up and he went around the room and he held us all accountable.
Good.
And it made sense. He's like, honestly, you guys failed us. It was a couple of high people in the room, and he was just like, yeah, you're the mayor. You were supposed to do this for our school, and you did it for like 2 months, and then you stopped. My school doesn't have heat. We were supposed to get new books. Where are our books at? That I was just like, wow. This kid was like, he was right. And it was just like, wow.
Kevin Bookin organized an event.
Yeah, that's my man. I love him.
A little while ago, and I said at the time, when you have a kid who's 9, the one thing you can't do is break a promise.
Yes.
So if that kid is at basketball or doing a basketball game and you say, I'm going to be there, you better be there, at least so he can see you for 5 seconds.
Yes.
Because that kid is going to remember that Ruben didn't show up.
Yes.
And that's going to break his heart.
Yes.
And then they're going to hold you accountable, which is good.
And they'll remember that for the rest of their life.
They will. I thought your story about the father not saying that they love the child. There's a girl at the high school, and one of our policies for teachers, you can't drive students around. It's just a legal thing. And she didn't have any food at home. So before I was on the board of ed, a teacher called me and said, "Can you bring her to one of the places to get food?" We're going to transition to the food part.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, I'll bring her down. I didn't know who she was. I think she was 16 or 17, and brought her to, I can't remember where it was, but they took her around and kind of did a shopping spree for her, and they got her 2, boxes of food.
Wow.
And they put them in the car, and she was sitting in the passenger side, and I came out, and she was just bawling her eyes out.
Wow.
And I thought, I'm going to wait.
Wow.
I'm going to let her be alone, whatever.
Have a moment.
Yeah, and came back 5 minutes later, and I just said, "Are you okay?" And what hit me is her words, and it was simple. It's just, I didn't know anybody cared.
Amazing.
And that's why I get back to the ears.
Yeah.
There are people who care.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't say it, we don't show it. And I think you do.
Yeah.
Maybe not the hugs, like I said now.
Yeah.
Maybe you do. You sneak them in, and we don't have pictures. But so to get to the food thing, one of the things you're doing now.
Yes.
Which I find amazing. I don't know if it was before COVID, or is it in reaction to COVID, or kind of a...
April, May, June, July, October. We'll start from October. I've been doing it.
It's only been that long?
Yeah.
It feels like...
Yeah, it feels like a while.
Because I've been seeing it forever.
Yeah.
So tell us about how it happened,
Okay,
and
so
what it is, and
the
what
event-
you're doing, and
fire
away.
The event that was just telling you about when I met the 9-year-old kid.
Yep.
It was in Bridgeport. I met a guy there named Harry Bell.
Okay.
Big community guy out there in Bridgeport, does a lot. So, you know, we're Facebook buddies. So every other morning, I seen him with all these boxes of food and giving them to the community. And it awed me. I'm like, wow, like, where's he getting all this food from? So I gave him a call, and I was like, yo, Harry, how are you getting this? Where is this food coming from, bro? I want to do this for my city. And he's like, Ruben, you know what's crazy? I always think about you when I do this. I really think that it would be also for your town. I really think that you have this position to do it. So I'm like, yo, you know, just let me know. He's like, what are you doing tomorrow morning? I said, nothing. He said, I'm going to call you. I said, okay. This was Monday. He calls me Tuesday morning with a lady named Karen. And she was just like, oh, you know, are you ready? I'm like, yeah. So she's like, all right.
Ready for what?
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't want to say no. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, can you handle 1,200 boxes? I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, yeah. Never did this before.
So you sound like me. Then you hung up and went, uh-oh.
Yeah. So she's like, we're going to send a tractor trailer. Give us an address. And we're going to send you a tractor trailer. So I'm like, a tractor trailer? Okay.
I think I would have hung up and gone,
oh, man.
That's big.
So we hung up, and I called Harry later. He's like, bro, listen, I was nervous too. You can do it. Don't worry. You can do it. And next week, they gave us my first tractor trailer, OIC.
Yep.
I'm talking about tractor, huge. So I'm just like, God, like, all right, you gave it to me. Let's go. And you know, the first one was a fumble. We didn't fumble. It was a learned experience of how to do it.
Einstein didn't fumble
Yeah,
either. He just failed a lot till he perfected it.
So they gave me, you know, beginning of October, first week of October, they gave me 1,200 boxes. And from October till now, I've gave out 500,000 pounds of food. I've fed over 10,000 people.
It's got to be more than that.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably
don't
more than
underestimate
that.
yourself.
Yeah, it's
it may
more
be
than that.
10,000 people, but they've gotten it multiple times also.
Yeah. So I hooked up with Farmers to Families, and it's just been amazing work. I love it. I love what I do. I love that, you know, I can go to bed knowing that somebody's not going to bed hungry because of me. Yeah. You know, and in my community, just, you know, I got amazing volunteers. You know, sometimes they'll call me like, hey, Ruben, I'm here with the tractor trailer. I'm like, all right, I'm on my way. Y'all there already? So, you know, I have an amazing team of people that loves to help me. And
so when you say community, is it just New London?
No, surrounding areas. You know, I do a lot of Facebook Lives.
Yeah, I've seen those, Ruben.
Yeah. I tell everybody, hey, man, you live in Ledyard, East Lyme, Essex, wherever you're at, you don't need an ID. The only thing you need to do is be hungry. And, you know, they come out, and I just love the interaction with people. And, you know, I was in a grocery store like about a month ago, and this old woman comes up to me. I don't know her. She's like, hey, you're the KLP guy, because I had my sweater on. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm Ruben. She's like, well, and she's like, I know we're not supposed to hug, but I need to give you a hug.
So we're getting back to the hugs, Ruben. I told you. I caught you.
So this lady gives me a hug, and I'm like, all right, you know, I'm still not knowing what's going on. And she's like, you fed my daughter and my grandkids at a point that I couldn't even give them money, and you gave them a huge Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving. Like, you've been feeding my family for almost 4 months, and I'm glad I met you. I'm thankful for you. And that's just, those stuff like that is, you know, and I'm a person, I don't like pats on the back because I do it out of love. I love what I do.
But Ruben, I think you might be like me. It's okay to get those every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't need them. But if someone acknowledges what
if they acknowledge, I love it. You know, I got a big certificate from the City of New London, the City Council. They recognized me for feeding the community. My volunteers gave me a nice plaque.
Has the city been supportive?
Yes, very.
I know I've seen some pictures. I think Anthony Nolan comes sometimes.
Yeah, he comes. Ephraim, the mayor even came out one day.
I did see that.
Yeah, he came out, and I feel so dumb because he came on a bike. And he puts the bike to the side, and then he just started taking boxes off the truck. So I'm like, hey, how are you? I didn't know who he was because, you know, he was, you know.
You can't recognize
him.
If you put a hat on, all you see is this.
Yeah, you know, he had his mask on. So I'm like, who is this guy? Like, who told him to come over here? Then, you know, no one was like, hey, we got the mayor out here. And I was like, oh, that's the mayor. Oh, how you doing, sir? You know.
My bad.
But, I get a lot of community support. A lot of people want to help. And, you know, I have kids up to like 6, 7 years old that come out and give out boxes, and they love it. They love giving back. I like teaching them that it's all right to give to the less fortunate. You know, we cooked food. We went downtown. We was giving away hot food, and that was a different experience because it was more intimate. You know, people were more grateful. You know, because when we're doing the food boxes, people just pop in their trunks.
Yeah,
you have a
put it in,
little
you go.
light conversation. They say, "Oh, thank you so much. I didn't have anything this week." Da, 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 you know, thank. But when you're passing out food and you're putting hot food in people's hands, you know, it's more you get to get their story of how they got on the street, and stuff like that. You know, and this, you know, this wasn't. It's just crazy how God's work because this wasn't my destiny. I was.
You weren't dreaming about giving out food in prison?
Yeah, you know.
You told me you were, but not that part.
Yeah, because, you know, I didn't know if I said this earlier. I'm also in an organization called CT Bail Fund, which I bond people out of jail for free. You know, a lot of unfortunate people that can't make bail, we get them out of prison. You know, if your bond is $25,000 or less, we get you out of totally free. You know, you don't have to pay us back anything. You know, we help you with your cases. We humanize you in front of the judge. You know, we give you clothes for court. We come to court for you. If you have a family and you're getting sentenced, we'll come like, you know, 20. We'll gather 20, 15 people from our organization and we'll come to court for you.
And that's statewide?
Yeah, and we'll speak for you.
Okay. Before we move on to one other thing, with the food,
Yes.
I say give out. I'm not sure how you want to put it.
Yeah.
Delivery boxes. You have another one coming up tomorrow.
This Friday.
Friday.
Yep.
So
Friday.
tell me about that and let everybody know when it is.
So this Friday, 74 Garfield Avenue, the American Legion parking lot. We will be there.
In New London.
In New London.
Yep. Make sure
You don't have to be from New London. You don't need an ID. You just got to be hungry. Come and grab a box. You know, if your aunt or uncle, somebody can't make it out, you know, grab a box for them. Like, you know, listen, my mom's at home. She's sick. Can I get a box for her? We will not deny you.
And what time? One more time.
It's going to start at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
74 Garfield Avenue, American Legion parking lot, New London, Connecticut. Come on out. We will definitely have boxes for you.
Great. And then one of the other, you talked about bail bonding.
Yes.
One of the things we had talked about a little bit beforehand were some of the protesting
Yes.
you were doing.
Yes.
Over the summer, in the spring, it was pre-George Floyd. It was some
Yeah,
different
this is
thing.
yep.
So maybe you could just take, it wasn't in reaction to George Floyd. It was maybe a passion you've had for a while.
Yeah.
But you took it to a different level.
Yes.
What I say, you went and visited the governor?
Yeah. So we went to the governor's mansion 3 times.
3 times.
We protested in front of his mansion, you know, just to get some laws changed to get low-level inmates free from prison due to the COVID-19. You know, I have a brother that's incarcerated, and he tells me what's going on behind the walls, and it's just the state is really taking this as a joke. You know, we already lost a couple of inmates. Low-level, actually, you know, people that's about to come home, and they died. You know, but since April, I'd say about 2,500 inmates has been released due to our laws getting changed. A couple of laws that we got changed being the organization. We've got people freed on, it's a law now called compassionate release. So if you're sick leave, if you have asthma, anything like that, you're bound to get released from jail if you got like a year or even 6 months. So they're pushing a lot of people out. So that was my big thing before the food. You know, I was really into law. Then the George Floyd thing happened, and we were protesting really heavy. And
So one of the things, you said the low level.
Yes.
So everybody knows, give me a description of that.
So low level, like, let's say you have a DWI, let's say you have a violation of probation, you know, stuff like that. Low level, low risk inmates.
So Ruben, it looks like we have a call. I'm not sure I know how to use the phone, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Let's go.
Let's see what happens. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian. Can
Hi,
you hear
Cheryl.
me? How did you know it was me?
I just was expecting and anticipating you tonight for my show, and you are my first call-in, as Ruben is my first guest.
Well, I was just so mesmerized by listening to Ruben, and I said, I've got to call in before.
What about me?
Well, I was going to say hello to you, Ruben, but I don't know if you know who I am. Do you remember Joey Lawrence?
Yes, that was a great friend of mine.
Yeah, his mom. I frequently call in for these shows.
Wow.
And
wow.
I knew Ruben's mom, of course, because, you know, everybody hung together, the whole 9 yards. But anyway,
Yes.
I couldn't believe it when I found out who you were a couple of months ago.
Wow.
I kept saying to everybody, I know that name, I know that name. And finally, I hooked you up, I hooked it up with your son.
Yes.
And was it Selena?
Selena,
Selena,
yes.
his mom?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. But anyway, very, very interesting listening to you.
Thank
but
you.
I have a question to ask you.
Yes.
I was at Winthrop for years with those little gremlins up there.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, we had some little wild ones. And I don't remember you, so you must have been one of the good ones in school.
Oh, yeah. My
But anyway, and as time goes on, they get older, and, you see some of their names in the paper, and you say, yeah, I knew.
Yes.
But my question to you is, have you ever thought to go into the schools and maybe talk to some of maybe the principals, psychologists of some of the kids that have issues that are in gangs? Because when I was at Winthrop, when you were there, basically,
Yes.
I know some of these kids were getting into gangs in their younger years. And did you ever think about, or were you ever approached about telling your story like you told tonight, or do they not think you're capable of reaching to these kids? Because I think you, more than a professional therapist, is going to get to these kids before anybody else.
Yes. I actually, right before COVID, I spoke to Cassie Fletcher about going into the high school.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Well,
he's
wait a minute, Ruben. You got to get him in elementary school.
Yes. A situation happened in the elementary school. Actually, did you come to the OIC? I believe I seen you at the meetings.
There's a couple of them I went to.
Yeah,
I think you were there.
With Daryl.
Yep.
So we were already working on that. Then COVID hit, so it was just it kind of like shut everything down. It shut everything down because I was speaking at schools in New Haven, Hartford, Waterbury, and I was just like, why am I not doing this in my own town? So I started reaching out to the schools, and then we was having the meetings.
Yeah.
Daryl, you on the board of ed, and we were literally about to get into the schools. And then COVID-19 just put a monkey wrench in everything.
Shah, I think we're actually making progress and maybe getting Ruben or someone else into the schools to work on some of these issues to support our students more. But I mean, COVID just, it even just doing, I haven't seen like people's faces besides my family in a while, at the table. But I mean, as time moves forward and we get back to whatever normal might be, I mean, Zoom works.
But I see... like I say, I see it, well, I did for all those years. I saw it with the younger ones, and it was amazing how, you could get these little kids, kindergarten, first, second, third grade. They already have a chip on their shoulder. And, and it's true, because when I was up there, it was a lot of Crystal Avenue kids, and they had a life that no child should ever have to be born into.
You're absolutely right.
And, unfortunately, sometimes you are a product of your environment, and you can't get out of it for whatever reason. So, I mean, you would be perfect. Somebody like you needs to get to these young kids. Because, like I say, you, I think, have more effect on them, I would think, than somebody who has not gone through what you've gone through. And somebody who looks like them, is like them, lives in the same place that they live. You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right.
Anyway, it was nice talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And I will let somebody else call in. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Cheryl.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
It's nice to hear from someone who knows you. You had a big smile on your face.
Yeah, Joey, condolences.
She asked me much harder questions, by the way,
really?
when she calls in. So we've got about a minute left, and I want to thank Ruben for coming in. I thought this was very informative. I don't love hearing your story, but I love hearing your story so people can hear it. But do you have your mask still?
Yes.
You had K-pop on there.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you could just talk for maybe the last 30 seconds about K-pop and where that's going, and if you can find it. I'm giving you an advertisement, Ruben. Come on.
So this is my KOP mask. Let's see if I can see it. But so I'm a mentor, and
you can keep going.
So I'm a mentor, and you guys can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, LILRUBEN 100. On Facebook, Ruben Santiago. We have I started a brothers brunch that we have every other month. And this Friday, come on out, 74 Garfield Avenue, 12 o'clock. Please, we got 30-pound boxes of food, milk, fresh dairy, fresh produce, fresh vegetables, meat, and come on out and get fed.
Thank you.